everyone, I thought I would do a picture from this new book of mine. This is the Royal Horticultural Society Floral Colouring Book, and I did do, I'm sorry, just moved my remote control out of the way. I did do a flip through of the book a little while ago, and there was a lot of interest in the pictures, so I thought I would pick one. I picked this one here. Now the book has a picture on the one side of what the a sort of artist's picture of some flowers. I reckon these are done in watercolour. And then on this side you have a pattern which incorporates the flowers in it for you to sort of try and copy. Now obviously you don't have to copy it exactly, but I thought I would just have a little go and show you. I'm going to zoom in a little bit because this is quite dark. Today it's really dark. Hang on. Oh, that's better. It's just dark weather here and rainy. I'm trying to find a flower to colour. I want to colour that one, but I can't fit it in. My tripod's in the way. Hang on. I could angle it. I could zoom out just a bit. Hang on. There we go. I want to do this one because these are sort of joined together and a little bit weird. I can do those later. I thought I would just do this one. Now I've got my Polychromos pencils because I know the colours really well. I thought it would make it easier for me to have a go. And I'm actually going to start with a dark colour. If you look, the centre's very dark. It's actually, if I put it in the middle, you can see better. It's quite black in there with some lighter bits like grey there, but also on the florals there are dark areas, and I think these might be black. So that's what I'm going to try to do. I'm just fiddling around with my pencils. Oops, bear with me. Just going to grab a black and make a start. Now you don't have to use Polychromos, of course, but I would advise using a set that you know well, because you're going to have to try and copy the colour across and you need to know what you're doing. So I'm going to start with this centre bit. If you look at the way this is drawn, it's got a sort of round area here, and I think that is this bit. And then these bits are sort of all separate little bits and they aren't really drawn in. So what I'm going to do is just colour this bit dark to start with. I'm not pressing really hard. I haven't put some paper behind the page. It's a bit naughty of me. I should have done. So I'm just going to try and get a fairly evenish dark area. I'm looking at the picture closely, as I say, because I'm zoomed out so you can see both. It might be hard for you to see, but there are lines because these are little seed pods on stems. So I'm going to draw in a sort of dark liney type effect in this area. I'm going to go over and over until it's a bit darker, and that. And so it's not massively visible, but I know it's there. Now we have at the bottom here a few lines with the seeds on. So I'm going to draw out here a few lines like this. I'm not going to copy every single line and make it look exact. I'd be bonkers to do that, but I'm going to do a few lines like this. And then I'm going to draw the outline of the seed pods, trying to correspond with the edge of this circle area that's been drawn for us. These might be a bit big, but anyway, we'll see how it goes. So we draw in these little circles to make them look like we've got, excuse me, seed pods. I've just had a coffee. Obviously giving me wind. Sorry. Oh dear. I was chatting to my mum actually. Was nice. Okay, so what I'm going to do is take a lighter colour. I've actually can't get into my pencil very well. A grey. What should we take? Oh, I think, yeah, I'm going to grab a fairly light grey, and I can combine it with the black to make the colour I want. So this is the cold. I've taken a cold grey. I don't know how well you can see that. I don't know where it's in focus either. So this is Cold Grey 5. What I'm going to do is just colour over these circles. Now if you're using a pencil that's smudgy, when you do this it might smudge your outlines, so you need to be a little bit more careful. I know that Prismas aren't going to smudge, so I can confidently just colour over those circles and be happy. Now I'm going to take my black now and go back over and just define some of these areas a little bit more. Oh, I just remembered I need to message my neighbour. I had the police round earlier. That was quite exciting. I wasn't worried. They got, as soon as I answered the door, they had nothing to worry about. But I wasn't that worried. I didn't really think I was on the phone to my mum at the time, so my brain wasn't going overtime, which was lucky. And they just asked me if there was someone next door called a certain name. And they said, "Do you know your neighbours?" I said, "Yeah." They said, "What are their names?" And I said, "Oh, that person's called that and that, blah, blah." And they said, "Oh, oh, sorry about that." The doorbell rang, was the postman. Had a parcel from my husband. What was I doing? Oh, I was going round these, wasn't I? And just putting the circles back in a little bit. Yes, so anyway, I had the police round at the door asking for this person. Then they went off down the road. So obviously looking for someone. I think someone must have given a false address. But I'm doing a few more lines there too. And I'm going to just colour the bottoms of some of these circles in a little bit darker just to make them stand out. But anyway, that was the postman had a parcel for my neighbour whose address they were trying to investigate. So I've just messaged him to tell him I've got a parcel and to tell him the police were around. It was very odd. But anyway, he won't be too worried. He's a laid back chap. Right, so that's all I'm going to do with the centre really. In the picture it's quite blue. I'm going to leave it grey and then I will decide at the end if I'm going to add a bit more blue, but I'm quite happy with how that's come out. I'm not going to try and make an exact copy of this. It's just a nod to it really. So now I'm looking and we've got some darker areas on the actual flower. So I'm going to try and copy those. So here, there's a dark area here where it overlaps, which is this bit. I'm going to just shade it gently with my black and just copy all the shade from here to here. So we've got a line here which hasn't been finished and that's a bit of shadow. I realise this plant is red and I'm doing black, but I think it's going to work once we put the red over the top because I'm using polys. They tend to layer over each other really nicely. So we'll see how that looks. I'm just trying to copy it as best I can. Again, I'm not going to be too worried about doing exact. What's difficult with a book like this, I have got another one a bit like this, where there is a picture to copy, is that when you compare the two, you want them to look exact. But this I'm sure is watercolour. So I'm never going to make my pencil look like watercolour. So I'm just going to do the best I can, have some fun, and maybe learn some techniques about shading from copying. I often copy pictures of flowers. If I'm doing a flower and I can identify it, or I want to, with Johanna's books, it's not always easy to identify the flowers because obviously she mixes it up a little bit. But or if I just fancy doing something that looks like a particular flower, then I copy from a photo. So I'm sort of used to doing that a little bit, and I know I'm never going to get it sort of spot on. Just try and work out what's going on here. We have this one like that, I think, but still complete. Oh no, that's that one. I'm trying to copy the wrong one. Oh well, never mind. So the idea is just to make it look as close as you can, not to try and get it exact. Now if you want a more watercolory looking effect on your pictures, you obviously can use watercolor pencils, but that's a whole different technique which I haven't mastered. But another thing is blending solution. Now I use something called Zest It. I gather that in the USA you get something called Gamasol, which is really similar, and what that does is when it touches the pencil or mixes it, it almost makes it look a bit watercolory, so you can sort of get that effect. I'm now looking at my pencil, so I want a dark pinky red, so I'm going for this one. This is 225, I think it's dark red. Where's my booklet gone? I filed it somewhere. It has vanished. Oh. It'll be in the description anyway. I'll write them down for you. 225 dark red. Wow, there we go. I'm just going to sharpen it a bit though. And I'm going to go over the areas that I've sort of done in shadow that I want a bit darker. So it seems to me like the ends of most of these are a little bit darker. I think that helps to also emphasize the shape, that they're sort of tipped down and away from the plant. Now this is just a light layer again. I'm not plastering on the pencil. It's much easier to start by marking out in a light layer because you can erase or just go over the top, and it's very forgiving, whereas once you push down hard you're done for really. So yeah, I had a nice walk today into town for the first time for quite a while. Had to buy the boys some vitamins. They've been full of colds, poor lads, and we haven't had any vitamins, so I went to get them some, and had a chat with some of the people that I knew in the shops. You sort of get to know the shopkeepers because we live in quite a small town, tend to get served by the same people. I hope you can see what I'm doing. I'm just going over these darker areas, quite easy, and see how everyone's doing. Seems like everywhere had sold out of, well, not sold out, had no lateral flow tests, which in the UK we're very lucky, very fortunate we can get them for free. At the weekend the papers were saying that that wasn't going to be the case, but government have now denied saying that, so I don't know whether the papers got it wrong. It's very likely, but then, you know, how do we know? We'll see, but hopefully we can still keep testing, because it's nice to be able to do that, keep our families safe. So they've marked out the general areas. Now there is a lighter area around here. I don't know how well you can see. Pull it a little closer. Do you see under here? But I haven't actually coloured that in the same way, so I think I'm going to ignore that. Let's move up a little bit. I'm going to grab a red, a slightly lighter red. This one here. This is 219, which is, sorry, I'll move it out of shot, you can't see. It is deep Scarlet Red, and I'm going to start layering up a little bit more now. So over these darker areas, I'm going to put down quite a solid layer of red. We do have definite areas of red where it's darker and lighter. On the tips where I just put a little bit, I'm going to try and fade that out a bit. But on these sort of lines and shadows, I'm going to leave it as this sort of definite area. Just spread it out a little bit. I'm being quite rough, and only sort of vaguely referring to the photos. You need to, as you become more confident, you need to trust yourself a little bit on what's going to work. And I know it's tricky to be confident, but also remember, like, there's lots of opportunities to colour on this page, so if one goes wrong you can practice over and over again until you're happy. I don't know if I'm going to do all of this page soon. I've got some colouring goals. Last year I set myself a resolution for colouring. I'm not really doing that this year. I'm not in the mindset to put pressure on myself to achieve something very specific in the year. But I've got a few aims that I'd like to do. I've got 3 specific colouring books that I'd like to finish. One of them I've got very few pages in. Two of them are quite short as well, quite small books, so that shouldn't take me too long to get them finished. So I love the feeling of having finished a book, so that'll be nice. And I think I could probably get a couple done in a few months. The other one is a lot bigger, so we'll see. And I'm not sharing my goal this year because I again, I don't want to put pressure on myself. Sometimes it's good to admit your goal. So if you've got a colouring goal and you want to actually make sure that you achieve it, then put it on social media and it will make it more real, and you'll feel more like you've got to do it, sort of thing. But if you if you just want to have fun and not put pressure on yourself, then don't. I did say to someone, I don't know if it was in a comment or on social media or what, I think I need a bit more on this one, that I was going to do a Johanna Basford picture every day and then other ones, extras and things, and I just came to thinking, this is Pale Geranium Lake. I'm going to sort of finish off now with this. I'm going to fill in all the gaps. I'm going to colour quite lightly in the areas so that we can see the difference between the different shades and colours. But at the moment I don't have the time to make 2 videos, and I want to keep it fresh and interesting for me. So this obviously isn't Johanna Basford, and as much as I love Johanna Basford, I do have other things that I want to do, so I'm just going to do them and sort of just have fun myself and hope that that comes across well for everybody. I had someone saying, you know, they wanted a few more tutorials, less flip throughs or things like that, and that's all good. I do appreciate feedback. It does help guide me at times as to what to do. But yeah, I know I haven't had many tutorials lately, and that's just because I was trying to sort of ease myself in gently to recording videos and balancing work and everything, and that's why there's only been one a day, and that might stay for quite a while. As fun as it is doing loads, it's I'm not sure if it was really paying off, if it gave people a chance to watch them all. I've gone massively out of the lines and that sort of thing, so I wasn't sure. So we'll see. I'm just sort of playing it by ear. As I say, I'm easing myself in gently. I've got projects I want to do off camera as well as on camera, so you know, we'll just see how the year goes. We're very early, it's only January. You know, it's also tricky, you know, settling the kids back into college, and they had so much homework last week. They were only in for 3 days, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and they were working Saturday morning and some of the afternoon and Sunday morning as well. I had so much work. So it's just a case of trying to make sure they get a bit more organised as well, spending time with them, so that if I have to make sure I get all my jobs done when they're not here, so that I can help them when they are, sort of thing. So it's just getting myself back into routine as well. It's been a lovely holiday over Christmas. We all had almost 2 weeks off, which was fabulous. My husband had almost 2 weeks. He had to work 1 day between Christmas and New Year. Their team all took to, you know, they have to cover that time because they're IT support, so they have a contract. They have to provide support at certain times. So they had to be in, and they just did a day each over between Christmas and New Year, so he took his turn. So that was okay. He was okay. There wasn't much to do because the people they were supporting, a lot of them were off as well, of course, as many as wanted to be, really. So that was that, and it was rather nice. The children got their homework done quite early in the holidays. One of them did, the other one didn't. He's getting a bit leaving things to the last minute, which I don't like. I was talking to him this morning about getting something done, and he said, I can't see yet, it's too early, I can't do it. Right. Now, I'm thinking, where shall I go from here? I'd quite like to do another layer of colour. I don't want to make it massively darker. I'm just looking to think, should I put in some yellow, some pink, or orange, or keep it with the red? It's quite purpley in the picture, so I'm thinking maybe I can get away with the pink to sort of bring it together. Just looking at my pinks. This one, yes, this one. This is a, I think I know what this is. It's number 127. Just going to look it up for you to be absolutely sure. I know I sometimes get it wrong and tell you the wrong one anyway, but I'm going to try. This is pink carmine. I'm going to go over all of it with this in the hope that it will still show up the different colours, the highlights. And what we can do after anyway is play with it a little bit. What I'm going to do is try and do it darker over those areas I want to look really dark. But we can highlight the lighter areas after. What I'm doing here is just trying to give a more saturated colour and less paper showing through. So if you look at this one, it's very intense. I'm not going to get it that dark. Now, I had a lot of questions actually after doing the flip through of this book as to what the paper is like. Well, it's rather, it's the thickness of the paper. It's quite thick. It's about as thick as a Rita Berman colouring book. Not quite as thick as a Johanna, but I think Johanna Basford books are extra thick. It's certainly not like cardstock or anything. It's much thicker than a photocopy paper, you know, that sort of printer paper. The tooth is good. I'm layering up colour, okay. I don't feel like I'm anywhere near using up the tooth, but you can see that I'm beginning to get rid of the white from the paper, so that's good. It doesn't need masses and masses of layers to fill in the tooth, which, you know, it's not like it's watercolour paper. It's definitely designed for pencils and pens, I would say, not paint. I mean, obviously I don't use paint anyway, but if you wanted to paint this, you would want to check, maybe do a test page. But of course, because it's effectively single-sided, because this is printed on the back, you might get away with markers and things a little bit more, because it's not going to spoil the page underneath unless you put a piece of paper in there in case of bleed through. So that's interesting. I'm quite happy with the colour I'm getting from this pink, but my light and shade is disappearing. So I'm going to do a little work on that. So I'm thinking where I want it to be slightly darker on the tips of the leaves, like it is on these, I think that looks slightly purpley red. So I'm going to go with, I've got a red violet here, the red violet, and I'm just going to do the sort of bottoms of the leaves and across the dark bits, and hopefully bring back a little bit of that contrast that we had before, which we've slightly eliminated with that pink. And I'm going quite rough again, rough and ready, quick, sort of quick confident strokes, really, committed. You don't have to go this fast. If you want to take it slowly, do. Just having fun, messing around with it a bit. Because I've already sort of put the guide lines in, it helps me with my confidence, knowing where I want to put this colour. My stomach's grumbling. What time is it? Oh, it's 11:36. Not lunchtime yet. So basically I'm going over all those areas where I had black, and now I'm going to use a white, where is it? Yes, this is a Caran Luminance white, which is really blunt, and I'm going to add a few highlights in just a few places. I've sharpened it. Here it is, it's a Luminance. You might be able to see that white 001. But I'm going to add a few areas, just touches of white in areas that I think might be reflecting the light just a little bit. I wonder what flower this is. Oh, it's an anemone. It's an anemone. Oof, lost the ability to speak. It's quite a hard word to say. Don't want to say it when you're drunk. Gosh, I haven't been drunk for, I think I've only been drunk once in my whole life. Alcohol is not, I'm just not a fan. Just don't like it. So that's never been something that I've enjoyed really. There we go. I'm leaving it there. Now if you compare it to that, it doesn't look that similar, but I'm pleased with how it does look. I am just going to do a little bit of grey blue on these bits. Now this is the 146, I think it's sky blue. Yeah, sky blue. And I'm just going to go over a few bits here just to highlight. I don't know if it's going to make that much difference, to be honest. I think we've already gone a bit dark. There we go. And what I'm going to do now is just move a few things. I'm going to zoom in to the original picture, show you, which is there. Now you can see it a little bit better. You can see the blue bits and all the shadow. And then I'm going to show you my version, which doesn't want to be in shot. Bear with me. There we go. And there's my version. So you can see it isn't by any means perfect, but I still feel that I like it. It's got a nice texture in it. You can see the petals aren't completely flat and there's some shadowing, and I've had fun. So that's that. And I'm not going to do any of the greenery or anything. I think I am just going to leave it there with that one. But as I say, it probably could have done with a bit more bluey colour in the seed bits. But I did just say I wasn't going to do it, and then I changed my mind. So anyway, if you had a pencil like a Prisma like this, this is a Prisma Pale Bleu Seal Pale. I think it's Sky Blue Light, I'm not sure. It's 1086. It might show up better because Prisma tends to write on top a bit like the Luminance. This doesn't look very blue though because it's quite pale. It might just show up a little bit more. So with you'll find with Prismas they sit on top a little bit. But there we go. I'm going to stop fiddling with it now. So there we are. So I hope that was fun for you. As I say, the paper is fairly smooth, but you can see it took a lot of layers. There's more. It would take more layers than that. It doesn't seem to smudge too much. Not some papers do. This obviously polys don't smudge really. It doesn't stop you going out of the lines though, which you know. I'm terror. Anyway, that's me. I'm going to go and waffling. But thank you so much for watching, and happy colouring.